Hello and welcome to Gangs All Here. My name is Ryan Sampson, the host and producer of the show. That's my guy, Frankie Vidarini from U Stadium. We're going to be doing a series of episodes here on Gangs All Here, breaking down the top storylines for the New York Jets. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the biggest storyline. How do the Jets fix the quarterback position? Because, Frankie, they have announced they are moving on from Aaron Rodgers. The Rodgers era is officially over. So that is going to be question number one for Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji all offseason. How are they going to address the quarterback position? There are multiple ways to go about it. You can trade for a quarterback, you can sign a quarterback in free agency, or you can ultimately draft one in this upcoming draft. But Frankie, I got to start with the rumors that the Jets could be interested in Justin Fields or maybe even a Kirk Cousins. And I want to start this debate with you. Should the Jets sign or trade, if it's Kirk Cousins, because he could be released, he could not be released, but should the Jets sign Kirk Cousins or Justin Fields?
All right, man. I really can't believe we're even having this conversation, considering what we thought last year. We thought we were going to be riding away in the sunset with a nice Super Bowl ring, and Aaron would be coming back to go back-to-back here. No, but in all seriousness, Rye, listen, the more I'm thinking about it, I don't want Kirk Cousins. I am totally good. I know what he can do. I've read the stats I've even posted them about what he did over his last 17 games. He's thrown for over 4,300 yards, and he had a 500-yard game, and Kirk Cousins knows how to run an offense, which he does, and he's a very good quarterback. He's an overachiever. I am good on that. There is no upside. You have no ceiling with Kirk Cousins. If you want to sell me that he can come in and he can be a mentor to a young quarterback, I'm fine with that. I get that. If you want to draft a kid or bring in a young quarterback, he can be a tutor. He can be a mentor. But I'm good on Kirk Cousins completely. I don't even want to, even if it's the vet min, I'm out. I'm completely out, honestly. I just don't want to see it. Maybe I'm getting PTSD thinking about Aaron Rodgers and the Achilles. I don't even want to see him trotting out there. I just don't. On to Justin Fields. Now things get a little bit more interesting. The one thing I'll say about Justin Fields that I love about Justin Fields and I really love about his potential in this offense and with Tanner Engstrand is the RPO threat and the option read availability that you have with a Justin Fields. RPO, Justin Fields can run an RPO very well. Tanner Engstrand coming from that Detroit system, they want to run RPOs. Justin Fields is somebody that's very is very aware and knows how to run an RPO and he's perfect. He's be the perfect quarterback out of all these guys that we can think of, free agents, to come in and be someone you can pick up in free agency to run an RPO. Option read. Now we're getting into something interesting. The option read to me is a cheat code in the run game. The option read allows you and allows the quarterback to have the option of giving or pulling. When you give, you stop a defensive end on the line of scrimmage, which opens up more lanes for your running back. When you pull, you have one less defensive end or defensive tackle who is settled on the person, the running back that you were going to give to. With Justin Fields and Breece Hall, if you ran an option read, that could get very deadly. That could be very similar to what Jalen Hurts does with Saquon Barkley or what Lamar Jackson was doing with Derrick Henry. It's a cheat code in the run game. So if you want to talk about some upside and something I'm interested in, it's Justin Fields and his ability to RPO, but more so his ability to option read. That would be a cheat code in our run game. When Tim Tebow went to the Broncos and they ran that option read, they were first in the NFL in rushing. They had over 2,600 rushing yards that year with Willis McGahee as their lead back. Not to say that they went 8-8, then the next year they actually, I think, won that playoff game. But regardless, it allows you to do things differently, which is a big thing for me this offseason. The Jets have to think differently about how they're going to put together this offense and who's going to be the quarterback. Justin Fields athletically is more athletic than a Jalen Hurts. Maybe he's not as strong, but he's more athletic. He could do a lot of the same things Jalen Hurts does. A little bit slower at processing, takes a little bit longer to go through his reads. Like a Hurts, though, he's similar. If Justin Fields can get some confidence, he can be a good quarterback in the NFL. My only issue with Justin Fields is his confidence. He seems to be a little bit internal. He seems to have been battered a bit his first couple years in the league. Doesn't seem to have that pep in his step. If you can build that up a bit, he's a very intriguing option for me. Much more intriguing than Kirk Cousins, in my opinion.
Well, first I'm going to start off with, I don't think I've ever heard anyone call it option read. I always heard it read option, so I'm going to start there because that's kind of funny the way you said option read. It's read option.
Yeah,
offense.
you could call
it's a read option. Offense.
Read option read.
Yeah,
I call it. You know what? In high school, we call it the option read. It is the read option.
I'm just cracking.
Whatever.
It's all good. So I'm gonna start with what you just said there about Justin Fields. Fields is a guy who went 4-2 last year as a starter for the Steelers. They pulled him because they thought Russell Wilson gave them a better chance to win. Now, Russell Wilson did get them in the playoffs, but you can't ignore that Justin Fields went 4-2 as a starter. It wasn't pretty for the passing game. We saw George Pickens get frustrated with him. We saw other receivers get frustrated with him. Only had an average yard per attempt, 6.9 yards per attempt. Not great. Wasn't stretching the ball downfield. He has some inaccuracy issues. But 4-2 is 4-2 as a starter, and you want to win football games. I agree with the athleticism. He is special as an athlete and as a runner of the football. He can unlock a lot of things for you offensively in the run game, something that the Jets desperately need because they were not good in the run game because Aaron Rodgers padded his stats by throwing the ball a bunch at the end of the season. But do I believe Justin Fields can succeed with the Jets? I do. I think he can win football games. He's a guy who won a lot of games at Ohio State. And I think if you really want to go all in with Garrett Wilson and buying into him as a potential, you would make him very happy to bring in his former college teammate and quarterback in Justin Fields. I think they have a connection. They can work together. Now, he's not going to put up the statistical season that you think Garrett Wilson will if you do bring in a Justin Fields, because I don't think that they'll put up those big-ass numbers that he has in his first 3 seasons that Garrett Wilson has. So I'm in for Justin Fields. I think it would cost you more than what a Kirk Cousins will. I think he'll be in that 15, maybe even 20 if he can negotiate with the right way and make teams compete for his, for him to be a starter. But I believe in Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields can give you something for 1 year, maybe even 2. But after that, if you're going more than 2 years on a deal, you might be running into trouble. I think you still have to bring in competition and have a good backup. Maybe not Tyrod Taylor. Maybe move on from him. But that's my thoughts on Justin Fields. Kirk Cousins, on the other hand, I'm very intrigued by. Why? Because he has history with
I
this.
knew you were going to say that.
Well, he has history.
You love Kirk Cousins.
It's not that I love him. I think he has history in this offense that Tanner Engstrand's going to run. Tanner Engstrand, who did he learn under? It's the same system.
My boy.
He runs the same system as Kevin O'Connell.
Yep.
They were teammates at San Diego State. They run the same similar style offense. Ben Johnson he learned from as well. But I think Kirk Cousins has had immense success, was almost an MVP winner in this Vikings offense when he was at the height. He knows how to get the ball into the number 1 wide receiver's hands. And who's that for the Jets? It's Garrett Wilson. He's going to pepper him with targets, and he's going to actually give him targets that he can catch and not overthrow him in the end zone. And they're going to scheme Garrett Wilson open in this offense. Believe it. And Kirk Cousins will know how to operate this offense exactly how Engstrand wants. And I think Kirk Cousins is the perfect bridge quarterback for this quarterback that you want to draft in this year's draft or next year. I think Kirk Cousins will be cheap. They're going to release him most likely from Atlanta because they have to get out of that contract, and they know they owe him dead money already on the cap. Kirk Cousins should cost you nothing. Vet minimum. It's like the Russell Wilson deal. He's going to be 2 years removed from the Achilles surgery, so he should theoretically be a little bit more mobile than he was. Granted, his Achilles surgery was on his plant foot, so you do get concerned about that. But he still peppered Drake London with targets. He threw for 500 yards this year with the Falcons, in which was a so-so offense, I would say. They never really found their footing the way they would hope to when they were putting this offense together last offseason. And I just think you have that element of Kirk Cousins is not going to be the off-the-field storyline generator that Aaron Rodgers was. He's going to be he's Mr. Coles. That's who he is. I'm going to wear my plaid shirt. I'm going to report for business. I'm going to do my job every single day. I'm not going to make any headlines for anyone. I'm going to compete at the highest level I can and give it my all season long, because he got beat up behind that Minnesota offensive line. He got beat up behind the Atlanta Falcons offensive line. Does he hold on to the ball too long sometimes? Yeah, but he still produces at a high enough level that I think if you're Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji, there's an argument to be made that maybe the quarterback isn't in this year's draft, and we want to take Kirk Cousins for 2 years to help bridge our future of our franchise and help establish this new offense that Tanner Engstrand wants to establish. And that's why I think I would go after Kirk Cousins over Justin Fields.
Yeah, you made a really intriguing point there. And if you look at the Spielman connection in Minnesota when he was a GM there with Kirk Cousins, I mean, that'll tell you something there, that there's some connection there. I will say, and the other thing you said that I agree with too is the Drake London point specifically, and the wide receiver ones, and how Kirk Cousins consistently throughout his career always develops out his wide receiver ones. My question to you though, Rye, and even I'm asking myself this with us bringing in Justin Fields, what is the point? What's the point?
I think,
is it to win games? Is it to develop? Is it to put together an offense with Tanner Engstrand that you can pick up? You know, you can pick up in 26 and make some other things happen. Like what is the point though? Like that's the thing I'm struggling with both of these choices.
I think with Justin Fields, you're taking a chance at a once top prospect that hasn't performed to his full potential, and you're taking a risk without the expectation of getting immense, and great returns, if that makes sense. What you're doing is you're taking a shot and saying, maybe we can unlock something here. Maybe we can have a Sam Darnold-like year. I'm not saying he's going to have a Sam Darnold-like year, but maybe he does. And maybe you can unlock something and be like the Minnesota Vikings were for Darnold. Be that team for Justin Fields to say, hey, man, we still believe in you as a passer. Like, we know what you can do with the ball when you're running the ball, but we think we can unlock a little bit more with this offense with you as a passer. And it's a low-risk move, in my opinion, because I don't think you have to commit more than 1 or 2 years to him. And I think he needs to prove himself, too. Because, again, he lost that starting job to Russell Wilson, even though he was 4-2. I don't think I've seen that happen often. Kirk Cousins was at least 7-7, and they had a first-round pick that they were waiting to develop. And they said, all right, now it's time to move on to the future at the quarterback position. But Justin Fields is still young. He's, 25 years old? So I think it's a low-risk, high-reward, potentially, move with Justin Fields. And you might unlock something and say, hey, we got our quarterback of the future maybe for the next 5 to 7 years. Or you go the Kirk Cousins route and say, we need to find a rookie quarterback either in this year or next year to sit behind Kirk Cousins, learn how to operate this offense from a professional quarterback, how to get the ball into our number one wide receiver's hands, and really develop someone behind Kirk. That's what I think.
While making Garrett Wilson happy too.
Right, because Garrett Wilson will get the ball with Kirk Cousins.
100%. Yeah, Garrett Wilson, I'm telling you this. If Kirk Cousins is somewhat healthy, Garrett Wilson's going to have the best year of his career. Kirk Cousins, there's one thing he does better, even than Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career, obviously being 4 years younger than Aaron, but he can stack up those yards, baby. He'll have games where he's throwing for 400 plus, and Garrett Wilson will love himself some Kirk Cousins on those days. That's for sure. No, fair points. Fair points. I think you made a really good Kirk Cousins point. The thing with Fields is, again, for me, with Fields, it's more up here and more confidence. Like, if he can be more confident in himself, I think ability-wise, he could really do what he wants. He's ran for over 1,000 yards in this league.
You mean Fields, right? Fields,
excuse me.
Yeah.
Fields. Yes. With Fields, that's what it is, man. Justin Fields, it's up here. It's in there. It's confidence. It's I heard reports too. We knew some people out at Ohio State that when Fields was drafted, that he said FML. He had a group text with some people. FML. I don't want to go to Chicago.
Well,
I want to go somewhere. I don't blame the kid, but it's always a little
Fields
bit
has that similar projection to what Darnold had. I mean, he was a top pick that went to a terrible situation. It was not a good spot for him, Justin Fields, to get drafted by the Bears. Like, they had no offense. Luke Getsy, come on. Like, he was in a terrible no-win scenario there. Did they get pieces eventually? Yeah, but they were already making up their mind. They were tanking for that, for that top pick. And they had the number one pick with Carolina as well. So they knew they were moving off of Justin Fields 2 seasons ago. Frankie, I think one thing that we haven't established here, and this is the last point I want to make about the Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields debate. Either way, what it does is it gives you a little bit more time for Muji and Glenn, and I'm talking about them. And they're trying to establish this culture, right, for the first year. And I think a Cousins and a Fields both provide you that little bit of a gap of, listen, this is our first year. We don't think we're going to make the playoffs this year, but we're going to compete. We're going to fight like hell. We're building this culture. And it gives you a little more time. It doesn't put the pressure on you of, I have to draft a quarterback this year, or I have to, next year they definitely have to, but I don't have to do it this year if I'm not in love with the class. And it also unlocks number 7 for you to either trade back or pick the best player available or go after a Tyler Warren, like whatever it is. They could choose whoever they want at 7 and not feel the pressure of the first 2 picks in this upcoming draft to take a quarterback.
I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. They don't have to. And if they don't love a kid at either of those spots, they don't have to go out of their way to take one, or they don't even have to trade up necessarily. They can buy some more time and look at a really stacked quarterback class in many people's eyes in 26. It buys you some more time. Another year of free agency, another year where Muji and Glenn can start having conversations with some disgruntled quarterbacks or situations around the NFL. It buys you more time. You don't want to try to, as I say and we say on the show, you don't want to try to microwave your success. You want to let things kind of play out organically, and give these new executives some time to really get their footing down in the league, to get their situation in New York established. So I do agree with you. I think both could be solid options. They're not the best options in the world. Cousins due to age and injury history, Fields due to just lack of understanding the position, really. I mean, like, he just doesn't play quarterback in a conventional way, so it's tough to kind of inject him into some system. But at the end of the day, I think the Jets the quarterback position, they need to choose, Ryan, one way or the other. Are we going to look at the younger option and try to get some upside there with a Cousins or a Fields, or are we going to just be okay with Tyrod and whatever ends up coming our way, sort of thing?
Well,
I mean, I'm not saying that's the best. I mean, you could do both.
You could
I
do
guess
both.
You could bring in a rookie,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Like what you're saying. So you're saying, like, draft a quarterback. If you're going to bring in Fields or Cousins, you don't have the pressure of drafting a quarterback in the first round. Would you draft one in the 3rd round?
Yeah. I mean, I would take one after the 3rd round and later. I would absolutely take a swing on a quarterback because you have to, right? Like, just take a swing. I don't think do not be shocked if Jordan Travis is off this roster after this in this offseason. I just don't think they like. You don't like what you're hearing. The fact that he couldn't even get back on the practice field.
He was a 5th-round pick for a reason. I mean, what is he now, a 7th-round pick after all this stuff?
Wouldn't shock me if he's purely a practice squad player this year. So they have to take another quarterback, I think, eventually. But, yeah, why not take a swing on one of these guys round 3 or later and let them sit behind Taylor and whoever it is, Fields or Cousins. Yeah, and then go all in for the following year, which should be a loaded quarterback class.
Yeah, no, for sure. I sort of wonder, too, with some of these quarterbacks that we're speculating on going in the 3rd and 4th round, and we'll see more as the combine plays itself out. I mean, there's some quarterbacks I love in this draft later on. And we're going to get into it more down the line. I'm a big Will Howard fan. I'm a Will Howard fan to the point that you're going to think I'm crazy. I think Will Howard is the 2nd best quarterback in this draft after Cam Ward. That's how much I like Will Howard. I really do. Nobody else impresses me. But some people think Will Howard's a 3rd or 4th rounder. It's weird. Curtis Rourke, another interesting name. Kyle Shogg, another interesting name. So there's some quarterbacks later on in this draft. Kyle McCord. There's some interesting names here, man. And yeah, I think they should absolutely, if they're not going to go with a quarterback in the first 2-3 rounds, they should definitely try to kick something down the line with the 4th, 5th, or 6th rounder with one of these kids, because one of them's going to fall late. It just is what it is.
It is what it is. But, Frankie, it's certainly the main topic I think a lot of Jets fans will be paying attention to is how they do address this quarterback position this offseason. As always, let us know what you think, fans. Hit us up in the comments section here. Who do you think the Jets should go after at quarterback? Is it Justin Fields? Is it Kirk Cousins? Or is it someone else that we haven't discussed here? But as always, hit that like, hit that subscribe button here on the New York Pro Sports YouTube channel. For Frankie Vittorini, I'm Ryan Sampson. As always, Jets fans, go Jets.